think it was Honorable
KJ.
KJ, yes. Mr. Speaker, true, the Talanta Stadium facility now is developed to an international stadium standard. It's being developed to the international stadium, and it was a playing ground for the for your constituents. But it was not an official playing ground. Let me start from there. It was still land allocated to an institution. It could still have been built anything else. The only good news that you have is that your ward will be the host of the best stadium probably in the continent. It's a neighboring ward, okay, yeah. Then you are even invading another ward. That's even worse. But at least you'll be neighboring a very important facility that will bring business to your neighborhood. Number two is that outside the main stadium, there are 3 training pitches. There will be 3, two with running tracks, and the other one is purely football pitch. Again, in terms of business and employment, it will benefit the people who are living in the neighborhood. We believe also the facilities will be improved infrastructure, which will touch your ward up to Lenana and all the way to the Kibra ward. Yes, and the plan therefore is to, that's why I was coming. Maybe the plan is to say, with Sports Kenya, how can these training pitches be accessed by children and even players who have who are the bottom of the pyramid? They do not have the capacity to pay a higher fee, and that should be, we should work out that plan as we develop this facility. I am not aware, insofar as the question of employees not coming from your ward. I suspect there may be some, because there are 2,000. 2,000 is a huge figure. And at the optimum, they will be having 3,000 people working at and they work day and night. I don't suspect that possibly with the minimum skills to work there that people will miss from your ward. But we will make sure that in the remaining 1,000, maybe to tell the contractor to make sure that it takes care of the people around. And that is the case for every project of government, including the housing project. And I hope that can be followed through. The other promise I can make is that perhaps we can speak to the contractor. Coming from your presentation here, I am thinking that we can speak to the contractor to help you put a sports academy within the neighborhood of Lenana Primary School, the new school you've built, so that it can also help as part of their CSR to extend a facility to that very important school. And I will undertake that endeavor, not because you are my friend, but it's the right thing to do. It's because it's the right thing to do. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable KJ also raised the question of FKF elections and the eligibility of those who have held office for more than 2 terms. A letter went out from the registrar expressly to FKF that only no one will run for the same office more than 2 terms under the Sports Act. And that is very clear. And I believe that the officials of FKF who are holding office now, if they want to run for office, maybe to run for a different office other than the one they have served for more than 2 terms, so that we can keep within our legal standards, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Millie Odhiambo.
Mr. Can you give an assurance to the country that you are actually going to sort out our football?
Mr. Speaker,
we were a better footballing nation 20 years ago than we are today because of sheer mismanagement of football in the country.
I have made it clear.
And when we were vetting you, you gave us that assurance. Can you assure this House and the country
Mr. Speaker,
that you are going to sort out the mess in football and take back Kenya to its level as a footballing nation?
Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Sports operates, especially for sports, through the federations. So sorting football is sorting the federation. And the election process that we are undertaking, Mr. Speaker, we want to be as transparent as possible to make sure that those who come in will make sure that they follow the narrow path, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that our football is managed well. Beside that, we will, of course, play our part as government to support nurturing of talent in the football sector, and to make sure that their Harambee Stars team is also facilitated enough to prepare well for tournaments. But what is extremely important is to make sure that the management of sports, including football, Mr. Speaker, is going to be as professional as possible to open doors for as many young people to play a role as, in this sector. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Millie Odhiambo has raised a very important question touching on Claire Maris, our daughter who comes from her county. And Mr. Speaker, I want to allay the fears that people have that there was unfair selection of sports team. Far from it, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, in the sports sector, you can be doing very well today, and when final selection for a tournament is done, you may not meet the cut. Three of our girls participated and helped the team to qualify. But by the time, that was a year ago, by the time the selection was being done and there were 35 in camp and about 14 were dropped, Mr. Speaker, Claire Maris became a victim of that process. And not a victim because the coach is biased. She was just selecting her team, the best team that can compete. And as a result, we made a decision with the support of His Excellency the President to support the 3 girls who participated in the qualification process to travel to Dominican Republic as fans, to just have that inspiration, and even to facilitate them to come and do the exams with their colleagues who got the chance to play. Football is cruel. Anyone who has been following football, it can be very cruel to finally not be in the list of the selected 23. You have been hoping, you are playing very well, then your team now is going, and fans of different teams are saying, this player is qualified, this one is qualified. There's only one person who determines the team, the manager, the team manager or the coach. And once she selects that this is the best team for us to compete, we support them because that is their professional responsibility. And the minister cannot interfere, neither can even FKF interfere, because this should be the preserve of the coach. But in terms of developing our players, maybe in future when they talk to them, they should talk to them nicely to tell them you didn't make to the team, try the next time, and so forth. But when they travel and they're encouraged, they also get inspired to make sure that they are in the next World Cup. Mr. Speaker, Sports Academy in Suba North, of course, if to answer the question of Honorable Millie, eventually Suba North will have an academy, because the intention is to have 290 academies. Most of these academies will be situated in schools for maintenance and for accessibility. So eventually that will happen. It may not be in the first 30, but as I read earlier, it could be in the next 90 or the 90 that follows, or the 80 that will be the last one in the strategic plan of the ministry. But we hope that that can be done fairly so that it's spread across counties. Not one county will benefit at the expense of others. Honorable Basil has asked about doping. Doping is a serious issue. I think, Mr. Speaker, I will be paying lip services. I give just an answer because it will not be comprehensive. But the program we have for anti-doping program is so comprehensive. There is one agreement we made with the World International Athletics Federation when Lord Sebastian Coe came around, and we agreed that we called Enhanced Program, which is a 3-year program. Is it 3 years? Yes, 3-year program to make sure that we do better testing and better facilities. But comprehensively, we need a budget. And you heard me speak earlier here that on a request of 300 million budget per year, Miaka 300 million, we only got 20. And that sector requires our proper support. But we are determined to make sure that ADAC works very hard to eradicate doping in our country, because it is going to be the black sport, actually a threat to commercialization of our sports. And Mr. Speaker, to deal with this doping issue, we have now made it mandatory to register all sports people so that we know where they are, we track them, and training facilities. We know, Mr. Speaker, even an investigation that is ongoing of some foreigners who come to our country in the name of they are coming to train, and they are perpetuating matters of doping, especially one that has happened in one of the counties that is known for athletics. I don't want to say this further because DCI is currently dealing with those foreigners. And so we are going to go to the bottom of this matter insofar as doping is concerned. Insofar as corruption is concerned, I will do everything possible within my vicinity to deal with corruption. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, this is a disease that is permeating all sectors of the country. But in terms of sports is concerned, we'll make sure that the processes are as transparent as possible to make sure that we do not, either in selection of players, in financing of the teams, in the delivery of our projects, we'll make sure that corruption is eradicated from those areas. But Mr. Speaker, this is a collective responsibility of all of us and our society. We must be able to deal with this menace head on. On the issue of Honorable Wandeto, I actually saw you when I was reading the statement. You quickly went to consulting another honorable member. You didn't listen to the entire part of the statement. So maybe unless I repeat it again, because once you had 75%, I could see you were worked up, which is a good thing, because it means that stadium is very important to you and to your county. The truth is that the original stadium was only supposed to be 2,000 capacity. And it was not supposed to have a covering roof. And the pavilion was supposed to be, but what you saw is 75% of what was supposed to be delivered. But as I read in the statement, we are going to deliver the same project, but now 10,000 capacity with a proper running track. And as I told you also in the statement, we have cancelled the original contract. We'll re-advertise afresh. Nyeri is one of the most important areas for training in athletics. In the larger Mount Kenya region, Nyeri and Nanyuki play extremely important role in training of our athletes. And eventually we will have to think also of what to do in Nanyuki, Nanyuki and generally Laikipia area in terms of establishing a proper high altitude training facilities for our sportsmen. So we will deliver that, Mr. Speaker, and I promise you that before end of the year we should advertise afresh and do a new contract for that area. Mr. Speaker, on Honorable Ambogo Mulema, yes, true, the Bukungu Stadium contractor is practically by classical legal definition on site, but physically with your eyes he is not. You know, in technical contractual times, he is in charge of the site. Let's put it that way. But he may not be progressing as we should because of agreeing on a few issues, including financial issues. We'll make sure that we support Bukungu Stadium to complete the part that was handed over or taken over by national government, because part of it had already been done by county government. So there are legal consultations and issues that we need to sort between us and the county. On the Vihiga County, let me say this. The stadia that I read are not the all stadia in the country. Some completed a long time ago, like Embu and some are done by county government. So if you don't see me reading Vihiga or wherever, there are some programs that are being done by the counties in that region. And others are flagship projects. That's why in your neighborhood, Bukungu Stadium is being taken care of. And to deal with the Vihiga, as part of the Sports Academy, Joe Kadenge Sports Academy is going to be constructed. It's part of the 30 sports academies that are going to be constructed that have actually been advertised already. Yes, and then on Honorable, yes, you asked another question. Why do we have athletes called Kipketer and Yavi and others running for other countries? Why are they? Why are we losing our best athletes to go and run for other countries? Mr. Speaker, the choice of a Kenyan taking over citizenship and running for another country is not peculiar to Kenya. You know, Mr. Speaker, that the reason shot put champion or record holder is actually a Nigerian who is a German. We know that all over the world people are running for different countries. Those athletes are not running for those countries because we were unable to give them an opportunity to run. It's, Mr. Speaker, also out of choice. You know, Wilson Kipketer left this country long time ago, 1990s, early 90s, to go and run for Denmark, as of choice. You know, Bernard Kiblagat was doing so well in 1500 and 5000, and as of choice, he went to run for United States of America.
Cherono.
Stephen Cherono went to run for Qatar. Mr. Speaker.
But Minister,
the
revelation by Yavi on
Yes.
why she ended up running for another sovereign is something you must address.
Mr.
Those
Speaker,
who go voluntarily to take citizenship of another country, we have no issues.
Mr. Speaker, as a matter of fact, Yavi, in her own words, say that the competition in Kenya was too hard for her. She could not make the cut in the country. That is why she chose to run for another country. And that is the case. I know you saw the propaganda that was on social media. That's propaganda, Mr. Speaker. I'm giving you, because when I saw those propaganda that was on social media, I asked the question directly to AK. And I also saw her interview. And she said that while she was at 17 or there, she could not even make to the top 3. And that is the case for Kenya. The real competition in some races in Kenya is final. If you want to run for Kenya, you may not even have a chance to qualify to go there. And having gone to another country, she has done exceptionally well. What I wanted to say in conclusion on this statement is that we should be very proud to export other sports people to run for other countries. Because one, they bring foreign exchange to our country. They don't leave the country. They are always here. Mr. Speaker, everything they earn, they invest here. And Mr. Speaker, we should be proud. The question of fairness and corruption in selection of teams will be handled differently, but the question of a choice of an athlete running for another country, and they are Kenyans, they must not be ostracized for doing so. They must be supported for making that choice. The only challenge, the thing we must do as a country, is having exported them to run for other countries, we also work very hard to make sure we beat them in these international competitions. But where they beat us, I would rather Yavi beats a Kenyan than an Ethiopian beating a Kenyan, because we still get the benefits with her beating us than somebody else beating the country. So just like we are exporting labor, we are exporting professors all over the world, doctors are serving, teachers other parts of the world, athletes also are looking for greener pastures to develop themselves. And those countries have better facilities and better rewards than ourselves. And we must encourage them as we work towards the same as a country. Mr. Speaker, City Stadium is a county facility, and I'm sure that the County of Nairobi is going to take care of City Stadium. Mr. Speaker, on the peace tournament, Honorable Yusuf, I am willing, upon agreement with ourselves, for us to have one-on-one consultations on what we can do together. We have limited resources for us to give to everybody who's doing a tournament. In fact, we have agreed as a ministry that let us just focus on supporting the growth of this talent, but where an individual has come out to say, I want to start a tournament, I want to do this, we also allow them to do so using private sector, so that the little amount we get from sports fund deal with the key events that are national in nature that have been organized. But in terms of coming to watch your team, I'm happy to come. And also you should challenge the Bunge FC to come and play a curtain racer. I can be one of the players that can join the Bunge FC to come and curtain race your tournament, maybe at the finals or so. We can agree together. And congratulations for the same as well. Honorable El Mengit, I think I touched on Kapsabet comprehensively, and I told you that it's one of our training facilities for the Kipchoge Stadium that is being constructed in Eldoret, and that is going to be, the process of awarding is ongoing. I think it was post when a decision was made that one of the fields for Africa Cup of Nations was going to be Kipchoge Stadium in Eldoret, and therefore married together as one of the training fields that comes from Kipchoge Stadium. And then for psychosocial support, again, both gender-based violence, psychosocial support for our athletes is something that we must confront. I have established an office in our ministry for gender-based violence issues. And then we have asked all the federations to make sure that they put in place officers that are going to deal with gender-based violence and psychosocial support. I again request all of us, because this is a society problem. It's not only, suicide is not a problem now for only athletes, but also all other professionals in the society. Let's work together to make sure that we deal with this issue. I actually, Mr. Speaker, want to use this time to say, I want to thank your deputy, the deputy speaker, Honorable Sholei. She's very, very passionate about athletics and in this area. And she came to my office and offered me very great support on what we need to do on anti-doping and also social support and confronting gender-based violence. There are some things we are working with her, and we want to welcome all other partners that can work together to deal with this menace. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
But can we do one last round? Let me see those who are interested in asking questions. Just 1, 2, 5. Yeah, we can take all of you, provided you ask only one question. If you do more than one, I'll truncate the mic. Maungu.
Thank you, Speaker. Though I'll seek your indulgence, I'd planned to ask 2 questions, Mr. Speaker.
Just ask one.
Maybe I wish to ask a question on sports funds. Last year, one of our great teams in Vihiga County and Luanda constituency, specifically known as Luanda Villa, did participate in the Division 1 League and emerged topmost. Your immediate former colleague pronounced himself that Luanda Villa was to benefit from a kitty of 500,000 from the sports kitty, for the sports fund, which was to be given to all winners. Waziri, this money has not been able to reach the club, and these are young people who really felt motivated that by winning the trophy, becoming number 1, that money will go a long way in supporting their daily activities. So I wish to hear from you, when will Luanda Villa, which is our pride, get their money, the reward they were promised?
Mutuse.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the interest of time, could the Minister inform the House and Kenyans the plans that the Ministry has for Ngaka Talent Center in Makindu Ward of Kibwezi West constituency? Ngaka Talent Center is the center that produced Winfred Yavi, and many other athletes, and it is in very deplorable conditions. So could the Minister tell us what plans the Ministry has for Ngaka Talent Center?
Guzia.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm privileged. I sit in that sports committee, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, CS. My question is, how much is the new stadium costing taxpayers, and who is doing it? Then the issue of pending salary payments of WRC assistant directors. They have never been paid. They have never signed a contract. When are you planning to pay them, and when are they going to sign the contracts? Thank you.
Thank you, CNN. Lenguris. Give Lenguris the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, the Waziri, for the elaborate explanation of the work that you do at the ministry, and we really appreciate. Mine is not a question, but a request. That, Samburu is far from here, and every time we hear about the programs in the national government, I've never heard of anyone mentioning that Samburu is being in consideration. And I know that Waziri has been there, and Samburu has one of the poorest. I cannot call it a stadium, but it's a field. Last December, I held a tournament, and I had to put the sand. Every morning, I had to spread the sand so that the players can use the field. So we have a terrible field in Samburu, and we are far from any other region that you have considered building a stadium. So kindly, I put this request to you that when planning, please consider Samburu. Thank you.
Oyula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, I was happy when the minister said that one of his targets is to develop talents from the lower level, primary schools, secondary schools, and so forth. Mr. Speaker, with the little money we used to have at the CDF for sports, we were able to organize football teams in the constituency, specifically to help those who have already left